Going in depth here tonight, North Carolina's new congressional map just approved by Republican lawmakers. It comes as several states, including South Carolina, are looking to redraw maps to favor a certain political party. For more, we sat down with Dr. Chris Cooper of Western Carolina University. Well, Dr. Cooper, thank you so much for taking some time with us looking at this new congressional map there for North Carolina. This seems like a done deal. It happened so quickly compared to what other states are trying to do, but it seems like it is done now in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the flash to bang here was incredibly quick. So essentially last week they said, hey, we might redraw those maps. And this week they did it. They voted first, of course, in committee, then it got out of the Senate, then it got out of the House. And North Carolina is a little unusual because our governor does not have the ability to veto those maps. So once it went through the General Assembly, game, set, match, it's over.
Now, ultimately, Governor Stein, he had some harsh words for the Republicans, saying he's going to fight it. At this point, is there anything Democrats can do?
Suit, right? That's the only thing that they can do at this point. They can bring litigation, but there, I think the odds aren't great. I mean, I think the odds of a partisan gerrymandering claim working are pretty much approaching zero at this point. The United States Supreme Court and the North Carolina Supreme Court have said, we're not wild about gerrymandering, but we're even less wild about gerrymandering legal claims, partisan-wise. So the only real avenue for the Democrats is going to be a racial dilution gerrymandering claim. That's what I expect to see come here.
All right, what about the ramifications here across the nation? Let's go ahead and start with the Supreme Court hearing that's now underway. The Supreme Court has heard oral arguments for a second time, looking at Louisiana's redistricting there and those racial claims when it comes to those new maps in Louisiana. So what kind of ramifications could come from that, and how could that affect North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, that could be huge. It could affect North Carolina and every other state in the country. So essentially in Louisiana, you've got a group of plaintiffs saying, hey, we, not people of color, white people, were discriminated against by these majority-minority districts, and we think that this is illegal. And so they are really trying to get rid of one of the Section 2 protections from the Voting Rights Act. 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act this year, we couldn't get rid of it. And so really, it appeared that the justices were interested in perhaps getting rid of Section 2. The question, though, is really when. Obviously, what do they decide? But also, when do they decide? If they put out a decision in November, it's direct ramifications on North Carolina. If they decide they want to wait until next July, clearly it's not going to matter as much in the short run.
And so when we look at what else this decision could mean for North Carolina from other states as well. So we know California, it's coming from both sides, Democrats, Republicans wanting to redrop some maps and make sure they are able to gain some seats in the midterms. So how could this decision, this move from North Carolina, affect other states across the nation?
Yeah, I mean, this, what I've been thinking of is the tit for tat redistricting, right? You do it, then I do it. So it started, Texas redrew their maps. California said, oh yeah, we're going to redraw our maps for the Democrats. So Texas for the Republicans, California for the Democrats. Then Missouri got in the game and they said, we're going to redraw. They got one additional Republican seat there, 2 additional Republican seats in North Carolina. And just earlier today, Virginia, it appears, announced that they may be doing some redistricting too. They may try to get 2 or perhaps even 3 Democrats there. So I fear this is not the last time we're going to have this conversation, maybe even this month.
And you say maybe even this month, but let's look more long-term down the road. This was something that wasn't done only just every few years or 10 years because it was based on the census. So every 10 years, they looked at these maps and redrew them. Now this looks like something that we could do almost yearly. What do you foresee moving forward if this continues, what you said, this tit for tat?
Yeah, I think more and more and more redistricting. So I think what we've learned over the course of the last few months is that the idea that we only redistrict once every 10 years, that was really more of a norm than a rule, right? We didn't do it because it was a bad idea. The only time we did mid-decade redistricting, for the most part, was when a court told us to do so. This is the first time in North Carolina history where they've done it with no court telling them to do it at all. My expectation is we're going to see this more often, more often, more often. And the partisan claims are getting more and more obvious, right? They're saying, why are we doing this in North Carolina? To benefit the Republicans. Why are they doing it in Virginia? To benefit the Democrats. They're not even hiding the ball anymore.
I think lastly here, what kind of role could the president have moving forward? Not just for President Trump, because we know the North Carolina Republicans are responding to his call for more GOP seats, but even just moving forward after the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, after the Trump administration, we'll see what it looks like, right? But I think Donald Trump has fundamentally changed the role of the president, not just his sort of formal powers, but in terms of what he means rhetorically and the kinds of things that presidents will do. So the folks in North Carolina who brought this bill up, who said, hey, let's do this mid-decade redistricting, they were explicit. They said, we're doing this because Donald Trump asked us to do it. Is a Democratic president going to do that next? Is the next Republican president going to do that as well? Maybe so.
Dr. Chris Cooper for us here on Fox Carolina News. Dr. Cooper, thank you so much as always.
Yeah, thanks for the conversation.